changed
Oh, really?
to Freedom,
That's
so they have to
great.
call him out in court. He lent us a Nikon P1000. So it's a very high-end camera with a 125 times optical zoom.
Oh.
Then I also brought my good friend here, Mike Rood, airborne veteran, and he's got some skills with mountains and other planning. And between that camera and Mike and me, we were able to get some incredible footage that really put some pressure. Like as soon as we got here and put out that first set of footage, things kind of changed. The approach from the RCMP, they started getting frustrated, things were getting exposed. You know, nothing is transparent here, as you've seen. And this just added layers to that.
You know, normally police try and, serve and protect, right? Serve.
Yes.
And, they're always talking about transparency. This entire operation has been the opposite. From having a no-fly zone overhead, to anti-drone devices, to doing the final massacre in the dark. They really have, and even just building this sort of walls of huge haystacks to hide people seeing it. It's so un-Canadian for police to spend so much money blocking people from seeing what they're doing.
Yeah, and I mean, there's already, if you look behind here, everything about this is quite dystopian. We should be in what's paradise, right? You look around over here, look, I'm in paradise, and you look a layer behind and you see this. And this privacy fencing, all these things, they just lead to paranoia. They breed paranoia. They get people worked up. And, they haven't provided counts of the number of ostriches. We know 100% that Spirit the ostrich was killed here under the, quote, care of the CFIA. And they completely misrepresented that story.
That was the bird that the police droned, spooked the bird.
Yes.
The bird got injured, and they put the bird down.
Yes.
And the media implied that was a death by avian flu.
Yeah, so they implied it was a sick bird. The bird was under special care. So there's an area just behind here where birds that need a little extra care. So say they hurt their toe or they have arthritis, they'd be looked after there. So they implied that this was a sick bird, which people will assume means avian flu, when in fact it was a perfectly fine bird that just needed a bit of care. And then it was spooked by low-flying RCMP drones. Not once, but twice. It was severely injured. Then, while the CFIA had already taken control, then it wasn't cared for properly and ended up dying of sepsis, according to the vet that was brought in. But it was lack of care.
But even, just stop for a second, because the way you're saying RCMP drones, because you're used to it now, you've been observing it for a month, but how insane is it that the police have their largest operation in BC, not taking on drug gangs, not taking on home invasions, the largest police operation in this province for the last 6 weeks has been here, and they are deploying drones. Drones are not a public health tool. They are a tool of espionage and surveillance and tracking and authoritarianism. The very fact we're saying an RCMP drone killed an ostrich is so insane, but even now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 RCMPs, there's 5 on the way in, there's probably still 40 cops, 50 cops, and the massacre is over. What are they even still doing here?
Yeah, and I mean, the drone stuff is worse than that. They're using them as weapons of terror. They're chasing people around with them. And this property...
Two people told me they were chased by an RCMP drone.
Yes, so this property behind, for those that don't know, is not part of Universal Ostrich Farms. It's a separately owned private property owned by, families related, but owned by separate people. And it was seized for logistical and operational purposes. And the entire operation has been on this property, surrounding the people there, harassing them and threatening them as they try to enter their gate. And
I've seen some of that.
We have video of this stuff, so we can provide that if it's helpful. And last night, and during this, as this stuff was going on, they had a drone fly off and blast them with lights.
In the middle of the night?
Yes. They follow them with lights. It's honestly, I've seen a lot of things from police that I have a little trouble with. But here has been beyond the pale.
When the truckers were in Ottawa, they said that the military was not involved. We later found out that the Canadian Armed Forces did in fact supply drones to film the protest in Ottawa. One of the questions I tried to put to the police here was, are you using military equipment, including the drones? And obviously they didn't answer.
Yeah, I mean, regardless if they're military, right? Our military isn't allowed to act in this sort of role in Canada for a reason, so they can't be used against them. But if we have the RCMP, a paramilitary operation, with multiple drone pilots...
Phone's dying. My apologies. Maybe I'll might get something left of it.
I'm going to hold it up like this, just in the hope that maybe one of them will come out.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm looking at that tent there that says "Apply now."
Yes.
Just just in case I found any support here. But my real question is, often when people come and stand here, a cop comes up with a little camera and videos the faces, and I'm sure they've taken pictures of all the license plates coming and going. And there are devices, I forget what they're called right now, where you can identify all the cell phones in an area just by some internal device that's on every phone, PCMIA or something, I forget what it is. I am absolutely sure that the police have built a database of everyone here. This is supposed to be an agricultural operation, but it's turned into an authoritarian regime database, facial recognition.
Surveillance.
It's so weird what's going on, and that doesn't sound like it's got anything to do with hospitals.
No, and I mean, at whose behest is this happening?
And that was, who's the boss of it?
Yeah, the CFIA, as far as I know, are unelected bureaucrats. A lot of what they do, well, I mean, all they do is kill. It seems it's a scorched earth kind of policy. They're not protecting anything, they're killing everything. But whose bidding are they doing? It seems to be maybe foreign interests. There's all kinds of things that maybe are involved. And I think that's probably not isolated to this one bureaucracy. I think this is probably, it probably happens in all our bureaucracies.
Now, I'm going to ask about one last thing. We talked a little bit about it before. I mentioned this in another video. There's a term I only learned in the last couple of years.
Phoenix! Phoenix!
Yeah, it is a farm.
Bowie.
I love all the dogs here.
As long as the CFIA did.
Oh my God, you're right. Well, don't kid.
Which was a real, yes, I mean, I kid, but that was a serious concern, and a lot of people reached out. And that would also be another way to enrage and infuriate someone.
Oh, yeah.
I know if someone went after my dog, I would